So, let's just jump right in. What if I told you there's a mushroom, a specific type of mushroom, that could help your brain literally rebuild itself from the inside out? I know, it sounds like something out of science fiction, right? But the biology behind this thing, lion's mane, is absolutely incredible.
But before we get into that, why should you even care? Well, get a load of this number. After you hit 40, your brain can lose about 5% of its total weight every single decade. And that's not just some abstract statistic, that's your brain, literally shrinking.
And look, that shrinkage isn't just a random loss of mass. It's something way more important. It's a loss of connections. This is where the signal between our brain cells, well, it starts to fade. Here's the thing you've got to understand. Long before we actually lose our brain cells, we lose the synapses, those little bridges that connect everything. This is what's really behind that brain fog or those memory slips. And the scary part? It happens way earlier than most of us think.
This quote really hits the nail on the head. It all comes down to this one master protein called nerve growth factor, or NGF for short. Think of it like the head foreman of the construction crew for your brain's wiring. When your NGF levels drop, well, so does your ability to learn new things and hang on to memories.
So, what if we could get that foreman back on the job? This is where this ancient mushroom steps into the modern world. And we're not talking about it as just another supplement, we're talking about it as a key that might just unlock our brain's own dormant repair program.
Now, lion's mane has two totally unique sets of compounds, and you have to know the difference. On one hand, you've got hericenones. They come from the fluffy part of the mushroom you see, the fruiting body. But on the other hand, you have erinacines. These come from the mycelium, kind of like the root system, and these are the ones that directly tell your body to make more of that all-important nerve growth factor.
This means, and this is crucial, you need both to get the real effect. One of them preps the brain's environment, while the other is the one that actually signals for new growth. So you absolutely need what's called a full-spectrum extract. And a quick tip, if it's grown on grain, you're not going to get those erinacines. It just won't work.
Okay, so how does this whole thing actually work once it's in your body? Let's trace the signal and see what this biological mission really looks like when it's in action.
So let's lock in on our target. Nerve growth factor. This is the prize we're after. This is your brain's own built-in tool for keeping your neurons healthy, helping them survive, and even, yes, regenerating them. This is the whole ballgame.
And the mission itself? It's actually a pretty elegant four-step process. Step 1, you take the right kind of extract. Step 2, those special erinacines make it past the blood-brain barrier. Step 3, they flick the switch that stimulates NGF production. And finally, Step 4, your brain's own repair and growth engines kick into high gear.
All right, enough theory. Let's turn all this science into a simple, actionable plan. We've talked about the why and the how. Now let's get down to the what you can actually do about it. So here it is, your checklist for a 30-day challenge. Your daily dose is going to be somewhere between 500 and 1,000 milligrams. And you have to verify it's a full-spectrum extract with both of those key compounds. And remember, check that it wasn't grown on a grain substrate. These details, they're totally non-negotiable if you want the protocol to actually work.
So, what should you be looking for? Well, according to the research, the first things you might start to notice are little improvements in short-term memory. Like actually remembering why you walked into a room, and maybe finding words a little easier during conversations. Those are the first signs.
Of course, this all sounds amazing, but you're probably asking, does the science actually back this up? Well, let's take a look at the data and see what researchers found when they put this mushroom to the test.
And this chart from a really important study just says it all. This was a proper, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial. They took older adults who had some mild cognitive issues, and look at the difference. The group that took lion's mane had a significant jump in their cognitive scores compared to the folks taking a placebo.
But here's the real kicker from that study. It worked, absolutely, but you got to stick with it. Just 4 weeks after people stopped taking the lion's mane, their scores started to drop again. So, maintenance is everything.
I mean, that human data is pretty compelling, right? But for me, the most jaw-dropping evidence of what lion's mane can do comes from a study that looked directly at physical nerve regeneration.
I mean, just let that quote sink in for a second. In a study with rats that had severe nerve damage, giving them lion's mane extract prompted so much nerve regrowth that they went from being completely unable to walk to walking again. That's not just a cognitive boost, that's physical rebuilding.
And that really brings us to the final question. If this mushroom can give the body the tools for nerve regeneration on that kind of level, what dormant potential for repair, for growth, is just waiting to be unlocked inside your own brain?